Back to payment request, paste, send payment. Same. What the f?
What's up YouTube, it's your boy Rhett, back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to use the Bitcoin Lightning Network using an Umbrel full node and the app Ride the Lightning. If you guys watch until the end of the video, I'll be showing you guys how to download Ride the Lightning and get started with it. I'll go over what is the difference between Ride the Lightning and some of the other applications that are on Umbrel's App Store and why I personally like Ride the Lightning for beginners. I'll be showing you guys how to open and close channels. I'll be showing you guys how to make Bitcoin payments using your full node and Ride the Lightning. We'll go through how to manage channel liquidity and rebalance any channels that get out of whack. And then finally, I'll be showing you guys how to set up your own Lightning node alias. So instead of seeing some crazy public key that you can't understand, you can actually see, whatever word you want to identify your Lightning node with. This video does assume that you've already gone through the process of setting up your own Umbrel full node. So if you haven't done that already, I'll leave a link to a video that I did last year up in the cards where you can learn more about how I went through the process of setting up my Umbrel full node and then sort of what are the benefits of running a full node and why might you want to do that for yourself. Go down below and smash the like button for the Lightning Network and let's level up your brain.
All right, guys, so first thing you're going to do here is you're going to come to your Umbrel, so just umbrel.local. Go ahead and log in, come to the home screen, and then down to the App Store. And in the App Store, you'll see that under Lightning Node Management, there's a bunch of different Lightning options here. A lot of them, like Ride the Lightning and ThunderHub, for example, do pretty similar things. For this video, go ahead and click on Ride the Lightning. And then if you don't have it installed, this will say install here instead of open, so you can go ahead and hit install. If you've forgotten your password and you changed it, you can uninstall Ride the Lightning, come back here, reinstall it, and you'll use this default app password that's right here below the open button. So once you've installed it, you can come over here to apps on the left-hand side of the screen, and then you can go ahead and click on Ride the Lightning. Again, this Ride the Lightning password is going to be different than whatever your Umbrel password was, and you'll have that default, and so then you can go ahead and hit login. So what is Ride the Lightning? Ride the Lightning is just basically a fancy interface for this Lightning wallet that you have over here in your Umbrel full node. So instead of getting our Lightning address and opening channels from this Lightning page, we're actually using a different app that has built this entire user interface on top of our Lightning node. And it's going to give us a lot more functionality than just this normal, Umbrel interface Lightning wallet will give us. The reason that I really like Ride the Lightning for beginners is if you come up here to the top right and you click on Help, you're going to get sort of like very basic instructions for all the different things that you can do with your Lightning node and how you can interact with those things through Ride the Lightning. So you're getting like step-by-step instructions, for example, for how to connect to peers, right? So like, number 1, go to the peer channel page. Number 2, get the public key. Number 3, enter the address and connect. And I find that these instructions are very good for beginners who don't really know what they're doing in the Lightning Network. Whereas if you come back here and look at some of these other apps like ThunderHub, for example, if you're in ThunderHub and you come up to like settings, there isn't really like a help function that I could find. Even if you go to their GitHub, there's a link here to documentation, but it's a very like high level link. If I search like how to make a connection, there isn't like step-by-step information really here. There is like some more technical documentation, and that's really good if you're a programmer and you really know what you're doing. But for just sort of like the everyday average person, I think Ride the Lightning's help section right here is actually a lot more useful than the documentation in some of these other Lightning interfaces. That being said, I do really like the interface on ThunderHub, and so feel free, once you've gotten Ride the Lightning, once you feel like you understand what you're doing and how to do a lot of these different things like connecting with peers and managing channels and making payments and stuff like that, definitely feel free to come back here to Umbrel, go into the App Store and select any one of these other Lightning node management tools that you personally like the user experience of. Because stuff like ThunderHub does look really good, and Ride the Lightning, the UI is, in my opinion, not as strong as something like ThunderHub. But again, the value is coming from the very quick and easy directions that you're getting from the Ride the Lightning help page. So the first thing you guys are going to see when you log in here is this dashboard, which is going to give you a high level overview of the different channels that you have, and you can sort this by, channels or by capacity to see your biggest channels. And then you can see here your Lightning balance and your on-chain balance. You can see your node alias Alias that we talked about earlier. And then you can see some statistics about the channels that you have and the routing fees that you've received over the last day or week or month. And then finally, what you really want to look into is this Lightning tab over here on the left. So the first thing you're going to see is peers and channels. And this is basically where you're going to open and close channels to different peers that you want to connect with. And you can see the balances of these channels here, right? So like for this first one, my local balance is 8,900 Satoshis. His local balance is 7,500 Satoshis. So that's a pretty like 50-50 balanced channel. Whereas if you look at something like this channel, I have 24,000 Satoshis and they only have 2,000 Satoshis. So that's a very unbalanced channel. Almost all the liquidity is on my side of the channel. And if all the liquidity is on my side of the channel, I'm going to be able to send out a lot of Bitcoin to him, but he's not going to be able to send very much to me. And so I have not very much incoming liquidity and I have a lot of outgoing liquidity. So if I want to make transactions, it's not going to be a problem. But if I want to receive transactions, it could be a problem. And we'll see in the next section of the video, like how you can rebalance these channels to make them more 50-50. But for right now, let's just go ahead and click open channel and I'll sort of give you a high level demonstration of what it would look like to open a channel with someone. If you click peer alias here, you're going to see the different people that you've already connected with. So these are all people I've already connected with. But if you wanted to connect with someone new, all you're going to need is their public key, which you can find if you go down here on the left-hand side. If you want to send someone your public key, you can just click public key and then, you know, send them this public key basically, right? And that public key is what they would open a channel with you here on peers and channels. That you said open channel, put in your public key here. And so if I wanted to connect to myself, I would put this here and I would maybe open like a 250,000 Satoshi balance. And you want to be opening balances that are at least 250,000 Satoshis, or, you know, maybe 100,000 would be the smallest one that you would want to open. You don't want to be opening those like 15,000 Satoshi channels like I opened here, because those channels are going to be really hard to push and receive liquidity from, right? 15,000 Satoshis is only like $6.75. And so it's pretty much not worth opening, right? Like I probably paid 50 cents or 30 cents or something just to open that channel. And I'm going to have to pay, you know, more than that probably in the future to do the on-chain transaction to close that channel at some point, if I ever want to get that Bitcoin out of that channel. So it really only makes sense to open up sort of bigger channels so that you're not taking a bigger hit on that on-chain transaction fee to actually open the channel in the first place. And then to close a channel, you would come here to actions and then you would just click on close channel, or you could target like, I want to close the channel within 5 blocks, or you could target, I want to close the channel only at 1 sat per byte. And so that could take forever if the mempool never cleared, or it could be right away if the mempool was like really low. Sort of like a limit order for closing your channel kind of. So if you come over here to transactions next, you can see a bunch of different transactions that have routed through your node, and you can see how many hops they took to get through to their final destination. And if you click on view info here, you can actually see the path of who paid who basically from which node to which node. And I'm going to blur this out just for anonymity purposes, but you know, if it wasn't blurred, you'd be able to see who was transacting with who. Next, we can come over to routing and we can see which channels were taking liquidity from each other when routing was happening through our node. So like in this case, the money was coming into our node through this Skynet node, and it was coming out of the node through the ground beef node. And we can see here that I received 9,661 Satoshis and I only sent out 9,660 Satoshis. So I collected a 1 Satoshi fee on this transaction. And you can see that that's consistent with basically every other transaction here. The amount coming into my node was 1 Satoshi more than the amount coming out of my node. So like 1205, 1204, and it's consistent for every other transaction here. Next over here, you can see reports and you can see like how many sats you received over different amounts of time. So like if you do yearly, I received like 16 sats over 16 events in January and 1 sat over 1 event in February. And then if you can see this here in 2021, I had to expand this to the side, but the most I received was 36 sats over 36 events in November and then 18 sats in December. So this is not like a super lucrative business, right? 36 Satoshis in November was 1 cent, 1.8 cents. So definitely not paying any bills off of this, but you can see that if your node was much better connected than mine is, and my node is nothing special, you could definitely create a node much more impressive than my node just totally by yourself. But you can see that for me, at least, this is not really profitable at all. And it's actually probably costing more electricity to run a Raspberry Pi, which is probably like $5 a year or something, than the 1 penny a month that I'm getting back just from running the node and collecting those fees as transactions transactions are processed. Next is going to be the graph lookup, where you can look up the public key of some node. So like if we type in my public key and we do lookup, we can see my alias, Brain Rocket Moon. We can see when it was updated today. We can see the number of channels. We can see the total capacity, and we can see the Tor address here. And so you could do this for any public key that you have access to, and you could get those statistics for yourself. Over here is backup, where you can back up your channel data. So like every time you update your Umbrel, it will actually say, hey, if something goes wrong with this update, you might lose your Lightning channel connections. So make sure that you save that Lightning channel backup. And here it's saying save your backups in a redundant location, saying save it more than once, so that if that file ever got corrupted, you would still maintain those Lightning connections and you wouldn't lose any funds or have to close any channels if you lost that Lightning channel connection information. And then you could come up here if you ever did lose it, and you could restore by putting the file, it looks like, at this folder location here. And then here you'll just get some statistics about the network. Finally, we'll see Loop and Boltz over here under services. And these are both services that are going to allow you to better manage your Lightning channel liquidity. Basically what Boltz is it's a privacy first account free crypto exchange that allows you to exchange Bitcoin, Lightning, or Ethereum for Bitcoin, Lightning, or Ethereum. And the really big benefit to this is really in converting Lightning to Bitcoin or Bitcoin to Lightning. And Loop sort of does the same thing here. And you might be thinking, well, what's the point of converting my Lightning back to Bitcoin or my Bitcoin into Lightning? And that's where if we come back to the dashboard or to the peers and channels list, and we see some of these really unbalanced Lightning channels that are open, like on this ground beef one, I have all the liquidity, and on this one, he has all the liquidity. If I wanted to balance one of these channels, what I would need to do is exchange the Lightning Network Bitcoin that's locked up here for on-chain transaction Bitcoin, and that would let me rebalance this channel. Just as like a proof of concept here, let's go ahead and go to Loop and see what it would look like if we did this for ourselves. So let's do a start loop out, and if we're confused about what a loop out is, we can go to this question mark up here. So here's loop out explained. Loop out is a non-custodial service offered by Lightning Labs to bridge on-chain and off-chain Bitcoin using Submarine swaps. I have a channel with a local balance amount and I want to gain inbound liquidity. So I have all of this liquidity on my side, but I don't have any liquidity for someone to send it back to me, exactly what we just talked about. It's really full on my side, but he can't send me anything. So I'm going to send a Lightning payment. My node pays a Lightning invoice for the amount requested via the Loop service. This moves the local balance to the remote side of the channel. So it's going to send my Lightning Network Bitcoin over to the guy that I'm connected with, and then I'm going to receive the funds back in my on-chain wallet for the same amount as that Lightning transaction minus the fee, right? So if I send over 100,000, I might only get like 99,000 back. Final settlement occurs when my node sweeps the on-chain payment and the Loop server settles the Lightning invoice. You receive the payment on-chain in your wallet and also move the local balance to the remote side of the channel, gaining inbound capacity. So now my channel is a little bit more balanced than it was before, and I have more incoming liquidity capacity, but I have to wait 10 or 20 or 30 minutes or however many confirmations it takes for that on-chain transaction to be confirmed back in my Bitcoin wallet on my node. And if I want to learn even more about how Loop Out works, I can click read more right here. And this is going to take me to a blog post over on Lightning Labs about in depth how Loop Out works. And this is another great part of Ride the Lightning. It's very explanatory. I don't think that you're going to get that level of detail and that amount of hand-holding on some of this documentation in other Lightning interfaces, or I haven't seen it at least. Same thing if you come to Loop in here. If you hit the question mark up here, it's basically the opposite situation, right? So like all of the liquidity is on their side of the transaction. You can't actually send out any Lightning Network payments because you don't have any outgoing liquidity, and you do the same sort of balance. So you're sending a payment out from your on-chain Bitcoin wallet, and then that liquidity is showing up on your side of the off-chain Lightning wallet. So you send the payment on-chain from your wallet and also move the remote balance to the local side of the node, gaining outgoing capacity. And so you can use loop in and loop out to rebalance different channels, and that's why you should actually open really big channels so that there's just more throughput basically for your Lightning payments to come in and out of, and you're not getting like bottlenecked by really small payment channels. Like that $5 channel that I opened is pretty much useless. So just as an example, let's go ahead and try a loop out. We'll see that there are two different payments here. The first payment is the swap fee over to the Loop server, and then the second fee is the on-chain fee that needs to be paid to sweep my Lightning Network Bitcoin from Loop into my on-chain wallet. And then this part of the swap fee, this prepayment amount, basically stops. It's like a safety deposit, basically. It stops people from DDoSing the network. So you could go through here and do this. I'm not going to do it for now because I don't have any channels that I want to rebalance in that way. But hopefully that was a helpful explanation of Loop. And then over here on Boltz, it's pretty much the same idea. This is called a reverse submarine swap. So I think it's probably the same thing, but opposite. You're paying a Lightning invoice, you're receiving the funds on chain, and that's it. And you can go ahead here and read more on the reverse submarine swaps by Boltz. These two are basically just different solutions in my limited understanding to do pretty much the same thing, to swap your Lightning Network Bitcoin for some on-chain Bitcoin and rebalance any of your really out of whack Lightning Network channels. And then obviously last thing here on transactions, you can click send payment. So I'm just going to come up to Strike here to generate a payment request. I'm going to hit request here. I'm going to click on Bitcoin. I'm going to say YouTube demo. I'm going to do $5. I'm going to click on the QR code up here. I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to paste that there, and I'm going to hit send payment. Oof, proto, line, whatever, unknown field, none. So I was having an issue generating a Strike invoice, so I'm gonna try it now with BlueWallet. So I've got my invoice, I'm gonna copy it, and I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to try to send payment. And I'm getting the same dog. So I'm uninstalling Ride the Lightning. Just hit edit, uninstall. Gonna go back to App Store, install. Okay, so now that is installed. I'm gonna come back to Ride the Lightning. This should be a fresh install of Ride the Lightning, giving it the default password. Logged in, I'm in light mode right now. Node config, nighttime, Ride the Lightning, update. Click on QR code up here, gonna hit copy, back to payment request, paste, send payment. Same, what the Okay guys, so I couldn't get payment to work on Ride the Lightning, so Ride the Lightning. So next we're going to go to ThunderHub. We're gonna hit transactions. We're gonna hit send. We're gonna paste the invoice and we're gonna hit pay. And up in our Strike accounts, we should hopefully see that we eventually get paid $5. Payment sent. $10. There you go. All right. So that's it for Ride the Lightning. I'm pretty pissed about this whole transaction thing, but that's what's the beauty of sort of an Umbrel node and the fact that there's multiple softwares that we can deal with here, right? At the end of the day, this is the wallet, right? And so if Ride the Lightning isn't working for you, or maybe ThunderHub isn't working for you, maybe Ride the Lightning works really well for you and ThunderHub is broken. Maybe they're both broken. You can always just come here and you can hit send and you can paste whatever invoice you want here, right? So if I go to Strike and I click, request Bitcoin next 50 cents, right? And I hit next and I go to this and I click Lightning invoice and I paste the invoice here and I hit send. Should be able to do this anywhere, right? I don't know why Ride the Lightning didn't work. I uninstalled it. I reinstalled it. Upsets me a little bit. I said such nice things about them in this video. They are really cool. I love how they explain specifically this loop and bolt stuff because the loop out and the bolt out is super confusing. Maybe it was just a bad day. Maybe I messed something up. Maybe I messed up some of the settings or something, or maybe they didn't like that I had an emoji alias up here. Maybe that was a problem. ThunderHub though doesn't seem to think that it's a problem. And obviously stock Umbrel paid that Satoshi invoice just totally fine. And if we go back up to Strike, I should have $11 now. And I do. The power of the Lightning Network. Okay guys, so final thing here, I'm gonna show you guys how to change your Lightning Network alias. So if you went back to, Ride the Lightning or ThunderHub or whatever, you see that my alias is Brain Rocket Moon. Yours probably says some crazy public key like this down here. If you want to make it some human readable text, this is how you would do that. So let's go to this little guide here. I'll have a link for you guys down in the description, and we're just gonna follow this step by step basically. So let's log into our node using SSH. I have a fancy terminal here, but you guys can just type in terminal and it will get you the same thing. Let's type in SSH-T Umbrel at umbrel.local. Okay, I had to enter the password there a bunch of times. It is just the same password that you use to log into Umbrel on the desktop site, just the same way you would log into umbrel.local here. So if you log out, it's the exact same password that you're using for this, but obviously you can't see what you're typing in here, and copy and paste, you can't even see what you're copy and pasting, right? So just be aware that it should be the exact same password. So this is basically root access to your Raspberry Pi Umbrel node. Optional here, you can change your default password by just typing password password. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to open the config file using sudo nano umbrel lnd conf. So let's paste that in there and just hit enter. Now we got to give it the password again. There you go. So when it opens, you should see a bunch of stuff like this. So here it says you are now in the editor, add alias equals some name. This must be added to the first paragraph somewhere below the block application options. So you'll see here is application options, and then here is my alias. I just called it Brain Rocket Moon. You could call it whatever you want to call it. And then optionally next, you could set color equals whatever the color is in hex values, and I'll leave a link down below where you can turn any RGB value into a hex value if that's something that you want to do. If you're just using plain text and not emojis, you can show that name for your node in a different color. And you can just do this right here. So you would type like color equals pound, FF0000 as the example up there. I'm going to not do that for now, but just be aware that is an option. You'll see commands that you can give it down here. And so you can see that if you hit Control X, you can exit the file, hit Control X, you can hit Y for save, and then just press enter here for file name to write down here to leave it exactly the same. If you change the file name, it's probably gonna break your node, so definitely don't do that. So just hit enter, and then you should be good to go. And then next, we're gonna restart the node. We can do this from the web interface, just settings and then restart. A node clean restart using the web interface should also restart Ride the Lightning. So maybe if I restart my node, maybe Ride the Lightning will not be a broken piece of anymore. So let's scroll down here and we'll hit settings and we'll hit restart and we'll hit OK. Okay guys, so if you log back into Umbrel here, you should see when you log into Ride the Lightning or ThunderHub or something like that, that your alias has in fact changed. I'm going to try one more time here with ThunderHub now that I've reinstalled it and reset my Umbrel. Last chance for Ride the Lightning. Gonna hit next, gonna hit $5, gonna hit next, QR code, copy, paste, send payment. Bruh, same thing, dog. If anyone knows what this error is, I have no idea what this means. The only guess that I have is that my node config in LND config, I don't have anything for fee URL, but it seems to not be a problem on ThunderHub or on my main Lightning Network page here. So if you're getting that exact same error, definitely just go use something else. And that's what's again really good about this, is that if your Ride the Lightning is a broken piece of like mine is, that being said, very helpful, and the help, all this is great, right? This is really helpful, and whatever, to get an idea of how you're doing all this stuff. 2 thumbs up for Ride the Lightning. But if it's a broken piece of you can just go use ThunderHub. You can just go use the default Umbrel URL to send your Lightning payments, right? Last chance for Ride the Lightning. It didn't work. Come here, Lightning Network, bada bing, bada boom, up to strike. Should have $16. It worked. Oh, yeah. All right. That was embarrassing. I'm super tired. This video took forever. Ride the Lightning. I don't know. Thumb sideways. It's bad at working, but it is good for learning. It has those really helpful tutorials. So thumb sideways. Learn from Ride the Lightning and then go to ThunderHub. Learn from Ride the Lightning and then send your payments through just the default Umbrel screen. Hope that was helpful for you guys. Hope you don't run into that same issue that I did. If you do, use something else.
Hopefully this video was really helpful for you guys. If it was, go down below and leave it a like so that YouTube will share this video with other people who want to learn more about the Bitcoin Lightning Network and more specifically Ride the Lightning. If you guys do run into any issues or have any questions, definitely go down below and leave a comment, or feel free to go over to Twitter and DM me over there. I myself am still relatively noobish to the whole Lightning Network ecosystem. I'm definitely not like an expert on all of this stuff, so I might not be able to perfectly answer all of your questions, but I'll definitely do my best. And I recently purchased Andreas Antonopoulos' book, Mastering Lightning, so I'm hoping to learn a lot from reading that book and hopefully be able to pass some of that knowledge on to you guys. I'll leave a link to that book down in the description. Let me know if you're interested in me doing any follow-ups to this video on anything else related to the Lightning Network. That's it for today, guys. Come back here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern for new videos. I love you all. Goodbye.